can accomplish what he will. Those are the words from the great Marcus Messiah Garvey. Marcus Garvey, you're my teacher. Marcus Garvey, yes, you are the one. Marcus Garvey, you have changed me and direct me of the works that must be done. You are the prophet sent from God. You are the Moses with the rod. You are the man from Sentence Bay, come to lead our children from going astray. They say you left us on the 10th of June. We know that's simply not true. The knowledge you have taught us remain in our hearts. And your
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John Julius. Happy birthday to you. Put your hands together now. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, Dr. Julius. Happy birthday. Sing the song now. Happy birthday. Another time now. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, Dr. Julius. Happy birthday. Hip, hip. Hooray! 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 Thank you so much.
Uncle Julius.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
He's 25 years old. He didn't say it earlier.
You were with yesterday? Today? Oh my goodness. So you're singing it to yourself?
Tomorrow. Me don't say your birthday is still.
We have a lady, her birthday is the same as Marcus.
Yeah, the 17th.
That's the 16th. And the 14th. And you're the 14th.
Yeah.
Her son is 17th. Oh my goodness. We have men all.
I know what I know. Mr. Julius. You see last year, I'll tell you something last year. Come here, be a pocket. This was my brother in Lance. And Daddy and Big Stone was around you. Lance, son born on the 16th on your birthday.
No kidding.
That young man there, Lance. You understand? So can't be like, yes. Right when you do it, everybody was with you. He was away when his wife was giving birth. Right upon the 16th, just like you.
Yes.
So I said,
Okay. All right. With that many lions, we have to try. Roar. Yeah. Just talk a little closer. Absolutely. Thank you.
Sir, I think your number was political philosophies, you know, and I found it very important to that.
I don't think we can start that now. Okay? Because we're wrapping up, so to speak. But, come forward, God help. But, I think you should know, and, he originated the first political party in Jamaica. And, in some sense, both parties derived from him. And at present time, there has been quotes of rebirth of the PCP, but my brother tried to rejuvenate the PCP at one time, and many years ago, but again, there's a certain power structure that would keep a third party down, especially a third party that was representing the interests of people like you and I out there in the streets and communities and individuals, so that was not successful. So there definitely is political work to be done, but I think if you raise the social consciousness, then the political consciousness will follow. So I think it's again back to you in terms of the legacy.
Thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to share two quotes and then bring them back into
Yes. So that's it, yeah. So
this forward has quotes from famous people in your mind. And I want to share two quotes.
Please.
One quote is from none other than Martin Luther King Jr. And he said, Julius Garvey was the first man of color in the history of the United States to lead and develop a mass effect. He was the first man on a mass scale to give millions of people a sense of dignity and destiny and to make people feel that he was someone, not Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I think he said that when he came here, it was in 1964, on the time of independence, it was fighting. And of course, he made the pilgrimage to Marcus Garvey's great site and the hero site. Yes.
And then Malcolm X said, all the freedom movements that are taking place in America were initiated by the work and teaching of Marcus Garvey.
Yes, and said that also relative to the 30 years. He said also, all the 30 years that are free at the present time, and that they owe that to Congressman Randolph. Thank you so much for that conversation. And I think you was brought up a little bit earlier. Yes, both Martin Malcolm X's parents were members of the Garvey movement in Detroit. His father was a member of the organization and one of the uniformed members. And so was his mother, who was from Grenada. As a matter of fact, his father was killed. Yes. What's up?
The word came by white boys where I remember he survived for 2 boys. Suicide over his head, over his body, and over his beard, he did 2 boys before he had speaking to.
So again, that's the origin of Malcolm X and his understanding of the identity of African people and the relative reconstruction of the African race. And the same thing can be said of the Farrakhan, was Farrakhan's was from the West Indies, and he and his parents, etc., were members of the UNIA, and so was Elijah Muhammad before his time. So a lot of the Black freedom movement in the United States, and then people like Stokely Carmichael and so on came up with all the ideas.
Someone that grew up with a child who is 16 in the world where you have to do that consciousness going on. I want to just say something to you because, after you've sat down and you have seen that in the time of our Marcus Garvey, when he was in statement period, was not that far, and especially in the United States, they were seeing all of that segregation and all of that. And still, as a black man in Jamaica, he could really ignite and they conscience over the entire world.
You're gonna get to meet that good dad yesterday, yeah, Florida. Amazing. I think this is I like it, you know. I always see gone.
White dog over black dog, which of course said this is of self-hate that we still have. And so I'm urging the young people, and especially the young women, because we are the mothers of the nation. We are the one that have the issues of I hope someone tonight want to start a factory that will make black dogs, because it's the hardest thing to find a black dog. But please, teach your children and search for it, because it can't be found. I have a son, but still, and I told him, Sissy, your son, a dog, and I searched to find the black dog, to give him
They got trench town.
your black and your social group like you. And I'm urging you to do that and to teach the children that, black is beauty, and so that we can move forward. Right now, we accept the status quo, and we are not prepared to stand up. And it's not easy, and there is because every time we talk about black action in this country, Jamaica, they tell you that although we're the 99%, we have to show that the money is 2%. We know that there is a marginal. But we the majority are marginalized in the country, and we therefore need to teach our children that we are black, and we are proud. We are the first people. And let's get everyone stand up.
Yes, that's right.
Tell him now. Tell him now. I believe me.
To build it, so did Julius Garvey in Tanzania. He invited so many diasporans again to help to develop Africa. And as you know, the same is true in Ethiopia. Land was given by His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie at Sashimeni and many others. I showed you Rabbi Ford, who after Marcus Garvey was exiled from the United States, went to Ethiopia, and again with his family, brought to school there, and so on and so forth. So, there are whole books about a number of Garveyites who have gone to Africa to help to rebuild the continent.
When they were in their problems, or still are in their problems, and they are trying to come to Jamaica, and we are forcing them out. If they had done the same for us, what would have happened to us right now? Now, we all know the reasons why they are being treated like that, because they are not a part of the English and American government. It seems like Jamaica government is afraid of joining with them, the Asians. They might lose that communication between the American and the Asians.
That's possibly true. But at the same time, I would like to say that I was in Port-au-Prince the second week after the devastating earthquake with a medical mission from the United States, really from the New York area, because I trained with a lot of Haitian physicians, And there is a Haitian physicians group in the United States, a lot of them in New York and New Jersey. And we were part of the first responders in that sense, coming over in that second week to help the Haitians. And there was a group from Jamaica there. I don't know how many men there were, but I know I met about 2 or 3 people. So, you know, maybe there's a little bit of balance and so on. But I get your point. And a lot of things are tricky, and it's not necessarily black and white. But I want also for Madame Amarimba Annie to read a quotation that she was showing me this morning.
Who was this fearless black psychologist who also died very young. He was 53. He has a book called Blueprint for Black Power, and he maps out everything that we need to be doing. But one of the things that he looks at, being a psychologist, is consciousness and the effect of white supremacy on us and what we need to do. Garvey was an absolute hero for him. So he says, we see in Marcus Garvey the ultimate psychotherapist, one who is revealing and who reveals the unconscious controls, the controls that were implanted outside of our consciousness by an enemy and our oppressors. So he's seeing that as a psychological issue which affects the political issue and the economic issue. He says, despite those controls being outside of our consciousness, they were manipulating our behavior. You see, we don't, and he's saying that Garvey actually helped us to see those things that are affecting our behavior that we don't realize are affecting our behavior. He says they were manipulating our behavior to our own disadvantage. And in bringing those unconscious forces into consciousness, Garvey made it possible for us to bring those forces under our control, under our rule and our logic, so that we could think about them and see them and act on them. And he says, and under the control of our ideology of black African nationalism. So I'll just stop.
Okay, thank you so much, young lady.
Every day we see how unnaturally our black women dress and how very unnaturally our black men dress. And what parents don't understand or seem to realize is that it really starts from the womb. It starts when you're very young. I have a black doll, a very lovely black doll, and I took her to college one day. And you know, I was accused of witchcraft. She's the prettiest, and I'm not saying she's pretty because she's black. She's a really pretty doll, you know, really well made. She has locks made from wool, and they brought up witchcraft, and I thought it was so really. I mean, I don't like to use the D word, but I thought it was dunce, you know, for you to say I'm working witchcraft because I have a black doll. Now we do have black dolls available. Unfortunately, they're expensive. Our nicer black dolls are expensive. They mass-produce white dolls, and people might think that this doll argument is, you know, redundant or such, but it's not. Because from early on, we think as black people that if we envelop our race and if we teach the love of the black people, then we're racist. You know, and as my cousin, who's been a part of the United, would love to say, is that racism means that you love your race. You know, that's her defense of the word racism. But when you teach the love of black people, they say to you, oh, you're being racist, you don't like white people, you don't like whatever. And then we teach our black children to love white people so that we won't be racist like them. But in teaching them to love the black person, they grow up to love the white person, they grow up wanting to be the white person, and they don't realize they're not white until it's too late. They don't realize that they are not white until they are being discriminated against, which is much too late, you know? And on the news recently, you had girls in Colombia and such being attacked, and their hair being hacked off. They're not being robbed, you know, their purses are intact, they're not being raped, their hair is being hacked off to be sold because human hair is so expensive. Because black people want to buy hair that is not theirs. I want to have hair that is not theirs, and skin color that is not theirs. And it all starts very early, you know, and the reason that we have the same Garvey would have had in his time is that Garvey was addressing adults as we are now. It's always adults, and the adults take this and they internalize and they think, oh, you know, it's true, but then they have to go back to the real world, the white man's world. You know, we're not teaching our children, like in schools, like in our curriculum, that listen, you are black because you're supposed to be black. So embrace your blackness and make your blackness great. You know, you're not going to be great by being someone else, but only by realizing who you are and your power. You know, so I know that people think, oh, it's just a doll or whatever, but it's not. It is teaching you your identity. It is who you are. It is how you should look. So make yourself beautiful as you are. You will not be beautiful trying to be somebody else.
One second. I just, Dr. Vilma Bailey is one of our guests from the United States. She's a teacher up there and had her own school. And we were part of the workshop yesterday for teachers. And I hear what's coming up again is the teaching and the learning, especially for our youngsters. So I would like Ms. Daly to address that in terms of, well, how do you teach self-esteem and self-identity to our black youngsters?
Hello, I'm Vilma Daly. I just want to ask you first, how many of you here can say, yes, I'm beautiful? I'm beautiful. Okay, all right. And guys, I'm handsome. Okay. Can you say black is beautiful? Okay. Black, I'm proud to be black. I'm black and I'm very proud to be black. I'm happy for who I am. And I just want you to know that as parents, it starts from the child is born. It starts so someone here say from in the womb. You have to have good feelings about yourself and about your child. And you have to start saying things. I'm not just saying, it's what you do really that makes a difference. I just can't help but going back to my upbringing, my parents, my father. When I was a little girl, my father told me that I was a princess. He said, the only thing that Princess Anne has over is that she lives in a palace. And he said, this is our palace anyway. He says, I expect that kind of behavior from you that would be expected of a princess. And so I didn't want to let my father down because he expected a lot from me. And you have to let your children know what you expect of them. It's very important for them to know that you think highly of them. Because my dad and my mom thought very highly of us. So they instill certain things in us, and you have to do that for your children. Let them know that I have high expectations of you because you are special. You can be anybody you want to be, and live what you tell them to. Don't tell them that and say to them you're black and ugly. You know, it doesn't make sense at all. It's too conscious because there's too many parents, too many times I've heard. I was in the store once, this is a little girl, and I heard, the parent didn't see me, but I knew the family, and I heard her using curse words to her child. And she turned around, she saw me, and she just kept going very quickly, because she knew that I was going to say to her, I am disappointed that you do that. Please, you can't use curse words to your children and expect them to be respectful to you also, and to respect themselves. So it starts at home. Set aside at least one day per week when you can sit at the table together. It doesn't matter how small the table is or how shaded it is or whatever it is. You sit at the table at least one day per week. Listen to your children. And when they speak, don't always tell them that they're wrong. Listen to them and reason with them. Reason with your children and help them to understand life. And that's how they grow and understand themselves. So it's very, very, very important for us to do that. And so many times I see parents, when the children are born, they make a big to-do. They have cigars and oh my child, this big party. And when the children get to be teenagers, they let them go loose. And it really, they figure, oh, he's big now, man, he can't go on his own. But the children, they always need us. They always need your input. And it's not for you to be preaching them all the time, but for you to be there for them to know. Don't let them go on the street running wild at nights because they say they're big children, because they're big. Know where they are. Let them know, I care about you. I want to know where you are. You know, there's a saying, it's 10 o'clock, do you know where your child is? Even before 10 o'clock, you should know where your children are. And you should care and let them know, I care, and that the love that I have for you is unconditional love. And these are things that help children to develop self-esteem, to know that somebody's there who really, really cares about me, and I have a responsibility to let them know that I also, that means a lot to me also. So you respond to that with the children. And I just want to wish you all the very best and hope that that we can follow through with the guidance that's been provided for us through Julius Garvey, that we are teach your children, pride themselves, that put yourself together nice when you go out with the pants hanging down. It's not the way for us to dress. That we know better. We know better. That I understand that whole philosophy came from prison. And why do you want to uplift and carry on an idea that came out of prison, that the prisoners didn't have their belts and it's hanging down? So you think is that a wonderful thing to portray yourself as, that I want to look like a prisoner? Is that, and then when you get caught and the police holds you, then you say, oh, police are terrible, but that's what you have been provided. So tell your children these things. Sit and talk to them all the time. See, a friend of mine was visiting from London, and he said he drives his son around London. He says, this is who you shouldn't take home. This is who you shouldn't take home, because he's telling what I expect of you, that how this person carries themselves, that is not what I expect. So he tells them. So a lot of it is communication. Sometimes we do not communicate enough with our children, and when we do communicate, we put them down, tell them they're talking foolishness or whatever, and you know more. We don't always know, but when we listen to them, we can guide them. And I told my son when he was little, I said to him that God gave him to me to guide. And if I don't do my job well, God won't be happy with me. So please allow me to do my job. Please do the job that God gave you to do as parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, the proper word to say would be ignorant to that. I didn't know that. The problem that most people don't really, at least most people have, especially when they talk about Black power and all of that, is that our national heroes, every Black hero who fought for freedom, rights and equality of Blacks, is not just to uplift the Black people, but also to show how important it is for us to know that we should be as equal as white people. They say that Blacks were the first to be on earth. When you look at it, where did white people come from? Black is the only race. No, don't say race, because honestly, you have one race, the human race. There's no other race on earth unless there are aliens coming from outer space. They have more than one race. But as far as I know, one race, human race. So when you say racism, it's not really saying race, colorism. That's what I call it in high school. That's what I call it now, colorism. But Black is the only color, Black people, the only color you can get a brown man from, a yellow man. I literally have seen an orange baby. Very weird, but yes, I've seen an orange baby, I've seen a red baby. My sister was born pink. My youngest sister was born, no, not youngest, my second young sister was born blue. Her vocal cords were around her throat, so she was literally born blue. I was born red, grew black, now I'm brown. I always say that I'm a chameleon baby. I don't know how that was, actually I was born white, grew red, turned black, now I'm brown. It was kind of weird. Growing up, it was kind of weird. I kept wondering, but when I look at it, it's just how my family gene is mixed, so that's why. But people need to realize it's not just black power, but equality of human. There's one race, everybody is equal, no matter what. The only thing that might be different between you, the king or the queen, is the fact that they have money. There's nothing else. When you look at it, most people who are in Hollywood, even though they have the money, yeah, sure, they look like they have everything they have. I'm extremely poor, and I'm happy. There are times when I might complain about my life. Girlfriend not treat me good, mother pissed me off, father upset me. But I'm happy. I have everything that I need. I know that for sure. I get up every morning. I might not know how the day is going to end, but as far as I see it, if I die, I will not die. I'm not happy. So all our black people who came up fighting for human rights, they might push forward black power and push say we need to stand up for our rights and say black, black, black. It's only because black people don't have confidence in themselves. Every person who you see throughout history, as a black man, even as a white man as well, who you see significant, who people will remember, who is on TV, who is in the newspaper, because they have confidence in themselves. That's the problem with most of us now. Those who bleach they find a problem with them skin color, them don't like it. I actually wrote a poem on that. I can't remember it. It was supposed to be on CBTC, but because we had conflicting performances with the drama group that I'm in, unfortunately, I wasn't able to perform it because they said that they need a dub poet from the drama group that I'm a part of. So the point I'm bringing across, don't just stress while you're stressing that. Look, while we're stressing to our children, future parents and parents, that you're black, you should believe in yourself. Don't look at white people and stuff like that. Also show to them that we are all one human being. Sure, white people what people don't realize with white people and black people is that if a white man stands in the sun for an hour, he's completely ready. You can't touch him. In ball, every move he make. We can stand in the sun for an hour and only thing say, sun hot in a man, one shade. We can go over in America, stand there. The only, you probably see where I go so. But we can adapt to any climate. And then I heard about, sorry for taking so long. I heard that this gentleman here saying that we're Europeanized. Honestly, we might have been in the past a European colony, but it's not that Europeanization. We are having an American, white American mentality to where we want to look white. We want to wear the same things the white girls are wearing the same things the white girls are wearing. Men want to drop them pants. Like, when you look in Europe, you hardly have a guy in England or Europe wearing pants below and bottom. It's all over? Alright.
And children should respect you, and I think it's time you earn it and demand it. You cannot stand and say children is the future, and at the same time we don't have no one pushing us in the direction that we should head in. We need the adults to stand up, demand good morning, demand good evening. You are a child. We need the village growing up to come back.
Good afternoon, again. I travel a lot, and while I was in school in Jamaica, the only thing I know about Julius Garvey, he's a hero. And since his 100th birthday, when the great and honorable Edward Siaga sent us on a birthday tour, we traveled many of the country, where Marcus Garvey went. And it's when I reached Costa Rica, in a town named Lemon, I know a lot about Marcus Garvey. So what this, in Jamaica, they need to teach more about Marcus Garvey in school. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Hi.
All right. Marcus Garvey obviously started a great movement, and it transcends black people across the world.
Yes.
And where I have seen it in the darker ages of Marcus Garvey, where the teaching of Marcus Garvey was so influential across the world, so that people gravitate to Marcus Garvey across the world, and nation could use his philosophy to free themselves.
Yes.
Now, as a nation, I think Marcus Garvey had set the foundation to instill in us and bring out of us the things that was in us that we did not know and was aware of. But currently, we are seeing a systematic approach to putting us back where we're coming from, and to keep us in that. Now, Marcus Garvey was not a normal person. He was a really powerful person. And so that in bravery with his team, he could have stood up to anyone across the world. Now, what is it that this movement currently is doing to get these brave people out, to get the teaching of Marcus Garvey out, and to try to break the systematic chain that we're on?
Yes.
Because we have known about our of the mighty race, how to free ourselves, what is the roadmap to free ourselves. But I don't think Marcus Garvey had gotten to where he showed us how to break this Babylon systematic and the system that controls us today. What from the question to you and to the Marcus Garvey movement and the organization now, what is the plan afoot to get a roadmap as to how to break away from, as I said before, slavery, colonization, and we talk about globalization. How do we break into globalization and point us as a people to free ourselves? Because in my own view, it appears to me that as a people, we have been distracted by other systems, being political systems, being religious systems, and that is what is enslaving us currently. Now I want to see a move afoot to break the religious barriers and to break the political barriers, because we become political slaves, and from political slavery and religious slavery, we can't see ourselves as a people, and we can't move freely as a people. Now, you earlier on in the presentation, you showed the birthplace of Marcus Garvey in St. Anne's Bay, where currently it is underdeveloped. Now, my question to the UNIA is, how can we earn the amount of money or the funds required now to develop this great place, to make an attraction so we can get more money to front and to push the things forward to make Marcus Garvey more relevant now and worthwhile to the rest of the world and to us as a people. Because as the young man said earlier on, I have gone overseas and people, the first man tell me that Marcus Garvey is not a Jamaican. He's in New York. He says he's a Jamaican. I say he's the first national hero this country that I'm from. And I'm saying that we are way behind as a people with being the senior, being the youth, in who Marcus Garvey is and what he stood for, and how do we move forward? Answer to me now. How do we take the mantle from the colonial slavery to the globalization and the slavery and globalization?
Well, you know, you've encapsulated a great deal, and I appreciate very much. I don't think we're going to be able to go with another one, because I think most people knew that we were going to end at 12, and we are at 12:30, and I need to...
Sir, I just want to give you a greet, sir.
Just want to greet you.
Yeah, but that's not appropriate right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to answer the gentleman there, and I'll allow you to do that. Yes, and this will be the last question that we'll answer, because I think you've summed up a great deal. And it's been a long morning. I hope a lot of you have found it useful and fruitful, and it's definitely something that we will continue with, because we need to dialogue like this. Now, you have to understand that the system that is in place has been in place at least 500 years. And you can probably go back and say maybe 2,000 years. Okay, but let's just say 5,000 years, 500 years in terms of its most direct effect on us. And it has penetrated every corner of everything that we do in terms of how people live. Whether it's in terms of religion, and we know about the Nicene Creed and how Christianity was organized at that particular point in time as basically a Western religion as part of Rome and Roman nationalism. We know how the universities well, we know in terms of Greek civilization, we know how they burnt all the books in Africa. We know about 1492, again, where they dismantled the civilization of the Moors that had captured Europe and dominated Europe for the previous 700 years. We know about the Dark Ages, which occurred after they had destroyed the knowledge that came out of the old world, which is basically the African and the Near Eastern world. The point I'm trying to make is that knowledge has been destroyed. And in its place, over at least 500 years, systematically, there has been the creation of a new, quotes, knowledge, which is not based on reality. It's based on the ideas of a group of people who feel they're different from other people, and even think that they're different from the universe that they've created them, to the extent that they postulate their God as someone or something that is outside the universe, and therefore created that. And they postulate someone that they worship and have painted and imaged as the cousin of Michelangelo, who is white and blonde. And that's the image of supposedly the person who came to save us 2,000 years ago and was sent by God. Now, why would God send somebody 2,000 years ago to save humanity when humanity has been in existence for 200,000 years? Okay, there's not much logic in that, all right? So people like you and I need to look at that and then even go further, and you find that there's no historical record for the birth of Jesus Christ anywhere in the history of mankind at that time. If there's anything subsequent to that, it has been proven to be falsified. So my point is that there is burning and destruction of knowledge and the people who carry the knowledge over and over and over again, whether it's in terms of Egypt and Ethiopia, or whether it's in terms of the Moorish civilization in Europe, etc., etc. Okay, now to rebuild that knowledge after the darkness, okay, which for them was their dark period, and then for us was the period of enslavement. It's a long, hard road. It's not an apology, but it's the reality, okay? We can look back and think of a handful of people that have understood what it is that we're talking about, what is needed for us to come together, what is needed for us to break the residual chains, you see? And this is one of the things that I think we very often engage in a false argument, that we want to be equal to white people. I don't want to be equal to white people, okay? I am equal to myself. I'm a creature of God, okay? I'm a God creature, I'm a God child. God made me. I don't need to be equal to anybody in that sense, looking for equality out there to somebody else. We're all equal. To me, that's a given. At the time when I was born, that's my birthright. So I'm not trying to be equal to anybody. And I think it's a misunderstanding when we think that our ancestors who fought for freedom to be equal to the people who oppressed them. Why would you want to be equal to the people who oppressed you and who raped your mother and your grandmother, who killed your father and your grandfather, who whipped your uncle and your brother? Why do you want to be equal to those people? So you see, we engage in a misconception and the wrong argument. What we want to do is to promulgate our own philosophy, if we quote the words of Marcus Garvey, which is an African understanding of the order of the universe and what civilization is all about. Because we created the original civilizations. What has happened since our civilizations were destroyed is chaos. Look at the world. How many wars is America fighting? How many people are they killing with drones? And just confusion. One part of the country is fighting the other part of the country. The Republicans are fighting the Democrats. You can't get anything through the Congress. And then they tell you this is a democratic system of government that they want to export all over the world. It's deadlock. It's nonsense. Okay? And then you have the Supreme Court saying any amount of money can go into the political system. So what does that mean? The rich people own the government. Where do you and I stand? Is that democracy? So my point is, that's not what we want. That's not what we want to follow. We need to create our own system that is based on the original African beliefs. Okay? That all men and women are created equal. All men and women are brothers. We are part of this universe. God is not out there. God is here, God is the universe, and God is in us. Okay? And that is the kind of society that we need to build. One that is supportive of us as human beings. We function. Whatever I want for myself, I should want for you. However I treat myself, I should treat you that way. Because I am, you are. Because you are, we are. We have that space of our common humanity. And this is a system that we need to develop. This now is a system that is completely antithetical, the opposite of the system that exists. Because the system that exists comes out of a fragmented consciousness that says self and other. What does that mean? Self and other? It means you look out for yourself and you don't give a damn about the other. You know what I mean? So it promulgates selfishness, it promulgates conflict, and it promulgates greed. And we see that. That's the name of the game. We don't need that. Okay, we have a unified consciousness. That's what we come out of. We have come out of a unified consciousnness. Okay, we were never kicked out of the Garden of Eden. You understand that? We've never kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Because we walk with joy, we walk with beauty, we walk with sufficiency. This little brother here says, he's wealthy, he feels good. Things can be falling apart around him, but he feels good. He carries the Garden of Eden there inside himself. Okay? He may not understand it in the philosophical sense in which I'm saying it, but he has expressed it in his own language. Okay? We can be happy and complete without anything, without a dollar in the pocket. And live joyfully because we have contacted the Spirit in ourselves. We are spiritual people. Spirit, as we know it, first made its existence on the African continent. Okay? And that is what we are here to reborn the Spirit. That was what could not be broken in terms of the transatlantic passage and in terms of slavery. So it is our job now to resurrect Spirit in terms of our personal life and in terms of our community life. And that's why I'm here to sort of share that with you. But it's a hard way to go. You understand? And there's no cookie cutter ready-made way to do it. But we have to work together to accomplish it. Thank you. Little brother, you want to say something? All right. Thanks for coming, and thanks for the greeting. And thanks to all of you for coming. I hope each and every one of you took away something that you'll carry with you. And I hope to see you again and again and again, that we can work together to build community and community consciousness, social consciousness. Thank you. If it's a donation from overseas, could it be into like what we call a 501c3, a non-profit organization? So that would make it better. That would
Thank you, Marco.
Highly qualified. Very motivated and I really love them. I have to love them to work here. I have to love them to work here.
So when you start using the computer?
From grade 7 as an entry, there's an IT program from 7 to 11. And from grade 7 to 11. And they do the exams at the end of grade 10 or 11.
And you find that this is adequate for your age groups?
Well, we do better with more, but we will what we have.
Yes, yes.
For some future time, we intend to expand the size of the offering. We will have to create more space. We look forward to be a part of the ministry's program tablet, one tablet per child. We are enlisted for that and we're looking forward to starting this school year. In fact, we're looking about additional storage area for them. Storage in the library. We are intended to have a museum in honor of the founder of the Majesty. We haven't found the space yet, but we started with a minor pictorial in the library on the year we have. Okay? No? Okay.
That's how long ago we're going to do. How are you? I'm terrible.
collection of Marcus Garvey, and the founder is Imperial Majesty. So I started off small, but when we resolve the space, we sent an appeal for any artifact that person want to donate.
When was it that he came? Was it
1966.
April. April, right?
April 1966.
We use our name after an African emperor, probably the only one of its kind in the entire English-speaking Caribbean. And we use the opportunity to use his quotations about education to motivate the students to higher achievement. Yes, sir?
Right, and we want to use this occasion to make a reassurance that we want to continue keeping that name. There's no intention to change the name from Haile Selassie, and there would not be, and that would be a dishonor to our founder. So therefore, the name will continue to be Haile Selassie High School.
Haile Selassie in Amharic means power of the mighty tree. So we teach us Amharic too. Like when his great grandson came here, we taught them how to, tin ice lane, Ethiopian, the things like that. And suddenly his antennas went up immediately.
I know, right now there's a proposal for the teaching of Amharic here. We are going to begin with as an extracurricular activity, and with a board approval we'll go further in another school year.
I think that's a very good idea.
How old are the children when they come from?
12.
Okay.
Have you organized yet any field trips to either some Ethiopian?
No, I'm not.
You need to do that, okay?
We begin by thinking that the costs are very inhibitive.
There's always a cost, but there's always a way.
Alright, once there's a way.
Four houses in Garvey. So the lobby, the classes we attended yesterday about introduction of Garveyism into the schools, I believe that a good platform to do is for the house to assimilate it, and we can use that as a platform to.
Wonderful.
Right.
Okay. What are the other houses?
Bogle, Sharp, Gordon.
Some of the heroes. Okay.
Other houses.
Yes. That's beautiful, because I think that kids learn a lot through our heroes.
Of course.
Because our heroes are the ones that face the challenges, you see, and they represent our ideals. You see, so if we don't teach that to our kids, they won't have any ideals.
Okay.
They will look on their little Twitter machines or whatever they call them there for their idols and ideals. And that's non-existent. It's just nonsense that's out there. But these are people who lived the life as Jamaicans during that whole period when we came to this country and have built the country. So our heroes are...
The school system has to recapture its rightful space and begin to develop the real role models for the children. Yes. We have lost that space. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
We need to recapture it.
Absolutely.
By any means necessary.
Well, Ras Alvaranga, who visited Selassie 2 times, he got a vast amount of information about His Imperial Majesty, and we can get him. So if in case anything you need him to this place, Ras Alvaranga.
Take up on that one, sir.
Or any pictures or artifacts.
And even the invitation that he got from His Imperial Majesty, the 22nd of April 1966, for an important meeting at King's House. Him still have all Ras Alvaranga still have it.
Okay.
It has been a great. I've been getting out of rushes. I can't even sleep at night. The excitement, and I'm anxious for school to reopen. I'm saying that.
Good.
Because not only am I meeting you, sir. Paul Bogle's great grandson appears. This is a man that I can touch and feel. Bogles are still here. What made me think that they're not here? Is it because Governor Erie felt him put a match down, told him got and buried to the body down there?
Yes.
They're here, the Bogles are here. And I'm hoping to do some great things with him. I'll destroy them 60 now.
Yes.
Struggle continue.
and it need to expose. It need to expose because a lot of individual thought of Marcus Garvey as a myth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we need to expose it to let them know that Marcus Garvey are really somebody.
As you heard today, there's a lot of history that's not necessarily history books. that Paul Bogle carried.
Of course.
I mean, Constantine Bogle.
Absolutely.
You see, of what went on there and what's there now and what they're trying
Yes,
to do
yes.
to reconstruct that history.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to do. We need to do that for ourselves.
Yes.
Marimba. That's the Jamaican motto.
Was written by, name again, Sir Hugh Sherlock, Father Hugh Sherlock.
Wrestling out of many people into that, you know, say one nation.
That's what they should have said.
Yeah, one nation. Out from many people. One nation. Because the constitutional qualification is what we need now. Because most of the population are not committed to work with the African majority for a sovereign independence. Understand? And my conviction on that is based on experience, right? Living in this country, in Trenchtown, in Denham Town, in Boys Town, all over, and coming through the psychology of the system.
That's right, I understand.
We can't get off God
You is a lady with that. You should have come on, come meet Dr. Julius Garvey, you know.
New constitution.
You should have come on, come meet him.
Which represents your resolution as a free, sovereign people.
I'm good.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a couple of years ago and you know, my bigger brother, same kind of
Take a picture.
We need it.
Yeah, well,
Has to provide mathematics to keep the school going, limited funds, and geniuses, I tell you that, to keep the school going. Yes. So she planned try to have programs to help all of these students come out and financial strain, so we try. That man in the eyeglass nowadays, Roseman, that's Mr. Livingston, otherwise called Sleepy.
I can see why.
Keeps the grounds clean. Security. But all of them are teachers, in their own right. They have to interact with the students.
colleagueship.
Small.
And those 12 children spread right across Jamaica. So technically, we are all
related.
some
All
distant
the
cousins.
are related. Yes,
technically. Technically.
Yes, but I'm sure when I went to school, I'm trying to remember one. I think one was a cricketer of Holness that I recall
Probably
at that
was,
time.
yes.
Yeah.
And a few
Track
athletes,
stars, yes,
footballers.
yes.
I know.
Yes.
I know. We've had a few politicians as well.
Okay. I don't know the politicians.
And then we have a few councillors and all myself.
Very good. So
Well, you have
a distinguished lineage.
Well, I'm about to comment. Very distinguished. Okay. Please.
Okay. We back in the days in New York when he was a rabble rouser.
Before he became a bigger rabble rouser.
Yes, he decided to come down here and rabble rouse. And Ozzy Harding went to school at McGill in the early days, way back when.
Yes, Ozzy is to me the archetype of a diplomat.
Yes, I saw him last last year. I've been on it from this year, I hope so. I get to see it. Yeah. Very good.
So, tell me how are things now with your visit?
Well, we're here on a visit primarily. One of the things we wanted to do, as you know, the Ministry of Education has launched a program to teach Garvey in the schools as part of the civics curriculum. So
that is my initiative.
You really? So I'm talking to the right person then.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to carry it right through, but I started that. But we started the whole initiative towards the reintroduction of civics and the teaching of Marcus Garvey.
Well, you know, as you and I know that Marcus Garvey transcends politics.
Yes.
And he should, because he's simply part of Jamaica. The other comment that I want to make, which I said this morning and yesterday when we gave two programs, one to teachers, one to community leaders, and I showed a slideshow, and the body of my father coming back in 1964. And that was due to old Wilmer's boy, Eddie Seaga, who was about 2 years my senior, or 3 years my senior, and Labourite, and at that point in time he was Minister of Culture.
Yeah.
So he engineered my dad being the first national hero and bringing his body back from its burial in London to here in 1964. So I showed some of those pictures and I gave due credit to Eddie Seaga. So,
well, I tell you, in the Labour Party, and I don't want to preach or speak politics, and forgive my friend from the United States who may not appreciate totally the context and the divisive nature of politics in Jamaica.
Well, she knows the Democrats and Republicans,
which I see are going to the extremes now. But you know, there is a kind of healthy competition. Sometimes it's just too robust, and it can turn off persons. But nevertheless, within the Jamaica Labour Party, we tend to look at the philosophy of Marcus Garvey as being, in terms of the independence of the person and the appreciation of our blackness, and to use that for economic gain, and to focus on empowering ourselves economically. We see that as very much aligned to our own philosophy. So we closely embrace the philosophies of Marcus Garvey within the Jamaica Labour Party. And of course there are some other historic things as well. The history will show that was the founder of the PNP who tried to have your dad.
Oh, sure. my mother never forgave him.
You know that story.
He wanted her to run for office under the banner of the PNP, and she refused. And my brother, who is a much angrier person than I am, it was like him and Mico and so on, like a vendetta. You know, so you have nothing to do with the PNP.
So we embrace Marcus Garvey. So it's not by accident that Edward Seaga would seek to ensure that his body's return, that he is the first national hero, that he is, you know, given a place of prominence in Jamaica.
But you know, that's very, you know, admirable and so on. And It speaks to the roots of the Labour Party coming out of the union movement, which my father was not only a political advocate but also a union advocate, and developed the first union consciousness in Jamaica. You know, with St. William Grant,
Exactly.
the right-hand person for Buster.
The right-hand man for Buster, the man who gave Buster the chance to emerge.
Yes,
right?
The
St.
black
William
people.
Grant was a guardian.
Absolutely.
Was already mobilizing in the labor movement, and he gave Buster the first speaking platform. And the story is told. I'm told that story. That when Buster was brought up on the platform to speak, the crowd was saying, "We don't want the white man to speak to us. We don't want the white man to speak to us." And St. William Grant calmed the crowd, but there was one man who was insisting and saying, "No white man, no white man." And St. William Grant jumped off the stage and gave him an uppercut. And that was the end of that. That's the story being told. So that's the foundations.
Yes,
And, yeah, I watched the documentary on Garvey on PBS.
That's scandalous.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know.